Now, when I read that Season 2 is bringing a raid with a Renown track, I was a little hesitant because why? Now I read the full article and kind of was trying to put myself in Blizzard's shoes and see an idea. And I think it's really we're gonna progress naturally through it anyway, so it's not gonna be thinking added, but I want to talk about it a little bit since it's gonna be a little bit different for all of us, to see that, that the Galagio is going to have a Renown track known as the Rewards Club, which I think is pretty cool because it's goblins, it's fun, big casino like, so I think that's a cool place to start. Now, Renown level 1, you'll get that as soon as you begin with that. It's unlocked, and then with a cap of 1 Renown per week at the end of the raid, or even that, because you're going to get a point system based through it. You get a total of 5,000 reputation throughout the entire raid. That is twice as much needed to get your 1 level of Renown. So I wouldn't really worry about you missing out on it. But if you do, there is that re-catch up, like that you'll be able to rapidly pick it back up if you were to start really late in the season or something like that. So I think it's just unique to see that it's just like a passive gain, because when you look at it, bosses 1 through 6 will give 450 reputation each. So remember, you need 2,500 to get there. And then bosses 7 provide 600. And then the final boss gives you 1,000. So I think that's pretty good. You'll get that at bosses, and the renowned money, I don't even know what to call it, but the the reputation that you get from 7 lieutenants as well that are scattered throughout. So you get a bunch, and 100 each of those, so totaling 5,000. So all those things, but you only need 2,500. And then if you're worried about, in the future, if you wanted to, like, if you didn't run it with certain things, or you want the cosmetic rewards, they will continue on to be there after the raid is done. So just make sure, because you got to think, I'm looking at 20 weeks of raiding. I can't do that. Like, I don't have the capacity to do that. Raiding is not my number one choice, but it's going to be fun because I'm really interested in seeing this raid. And having a Renown track. Now, the list of rewards is lengthy. You get something per each level, and I'm going to go through them as quickly as possible because I want us to all know what to expect when we're going into the Galagio, and we're part of the Rewards Club, and let's see what our rewards are. Right when you get that Renown 1, you get access to profession tables, vendors, and crafting orders that will exist at that hotel now. So cool, that one's going to be a freebie. I think everybody's going to get that, no problem. So cool to have access to that stuff while you're there. At Renown 2, you'll consume food 100% faster while inside the Liberation of Undermine raid, and you'll have access to the Busted Rune dispenser, which gives you a chance to grant an augment rune. I think that's really cool. You're going to get that little percentage of buff that you'll be able to progress faster every time through the raid at Renown 2. Renown 3, you're going to transmog an item upgrade. Vendors become available inside the hotel. I said inside the hotel. So you don't have to leave. Everybody can gather out there and take care of everything they need, so you don't have to wait on every party member. Well, I got to do this. And you got to think, with the new mount that I'm sure a majority of us spent the money on with the auction house on it, we'll be able to live almost solely in the hotel. I think that's going to be really cool. At Renown 4, you'll get the Loyalty Rewards card, which will function as a Hearthstone for the Continental Hotel, and you're going to gain a 3% damage and healing increase while inside the Liberation of Undermine. The card will have a 30-minute cooldown and is only usable while inside the Liberation of Undermine. So the intention behind that is to return you to the hub between bosses if you need to craft, upgrade, and anything else in between. So if you realize that you need something for this boss, you can run back out, get it, and come back. So I think that's something cool. I think it's really get behind the fantasy behind this whole hotel thing and trying to make it more useful for everybody. At the Renown 5, you get your access to repair stations that are going to be throughout the raid, much like the Mythic Plus temporal attendants, the sand guys that you go after the key's gone, but not intended to really get rid of all the engineering hammers, and they'll be just placed sporadically through the raid and not plentiful, but they're at least going to be there if really you need that extra little hammer to fix your gear right before that one boss that's really beating you down. At Renown 6, you get a 10% movement speed outside of combat, and you're going to have the access to a self battle res while out of combat as well. That's more to come on all that, but it's looking at 30 minute to an hour as a cooldown for the battle res, and it's going to be an emergency way, much like the reincarnation of shaman. It's going to be something just to get your healer up, or get a healer up to start bringing the raid. So you don't have to spend all that time running back and waiting, or sending that monk down the hall because he's just so much faster, or the demon hunter. They move pretty quick too. Me as a hunter, I get my cheetah for a couple seconds and then disengage, and then I'm trotting along. At Renown 7, your damage and healing buff that you got improves to 6%, and in Renown 8, your raid skip will be unlocked after defeating the first boss. The NPC will fly in with a rocket, and you can use the skip between bosses 7 and 8. Not bad. I think that one's probably not the best. Besides that, at Renown 7, that damage and healing, I think that's going to be really cool. Renown 9, you get 2 vendors outside of the Cauldron of Carnage, one of the raid's earlier bosses, so you get access to it pretty quick. They'll sell you miniaturized battle pets based on the gorilla and the T-Rex fight boss. Really cool. Get your mini size, get a little, I'm thinking of it like if you were at a concert or a show or something, you get that collectible stuffed animal or t-shirt. Kind of cool. I think that, buy them. We'll all want them at one point, much like we want that mount. We all want that T-Rex mount, which comes later down the list. Renown 10, damage and healing buff improves to 9%, jumps up another 3%. So can you imagine that you're just progressing your raid? Now we're in week 10, and you get just a 9% healing and damage. So if you're stuck in that one spot, Blizzard's sitting there giving you that ability to keep growing and kind of keep progressing that. At Renown 11, your out of combat movement speed will go to 20%, and now that you're granted the counterfeit dealer's chip, put all those words together, which can be traded at the hotel for cosmetic appearances, and we all love the cosmetics. That's all I really want. I'm thinking of Plunderstorm. They have all those mounts and pets. I'm going for all the gear first, and then I'll go back for mounts, because we all have our favorite mounts that we stick to. It's a bee. But we just want to do that. So I like that we're going to have access to some cosmetic appearances. At Renown 12, time to get a little spicy, and we get some hot sauce. So fire breathing damage proc that scales with based on your raid consumables. So I think that's something, another little bonus goodie for just showing up. It's a participation trophy. Now you can breathe fire, and you have a 9% damage increase and healing increase. A lot of things are just adding up to really make this really appetizing for everybody to kind of spend some more time in the raid. Sitting there at Renown 13, I know I just said that 9%, but we're going up another 3% on that damage and healing buff to 12. So now we're 13 weeks in, and we're 12% better than we were day one without getting gear, without upgrading. You could just sit flat and you're still going to see a good increase there. Moving right along to Renown 14, the busted rune dispenser from Renown number 2 is now fixed and grants an augment rune and has a chance to grant more or explode, but you have the ability to get a full-on high-powered augment rune just for progressing the raid. Renown 15, you're going to gain a second counterfeit dealer's chip for more cosmetic appearance, and the 6th boss of the raid, the one-armed bandit, now has a small chance of dropping one as a personal loot for future kills. So we're Renown 15. You get 2 chances for you'll have 2 options for the counterfeit coins, and then it'll open up to where one will drop, so you continue to get those cosmetic appearances, so you can bling out your goblin or your Kalteran or your orc, whatever you go into the raid with, just looking like they should be there with hopefully it's like a suit and tie, real classy kind of shit. Renown 16, now we're at the very tail end of the Renown track, because like I said, it goes to 20. Renown 16, that healing and damage buff will go to 15%. Okay, that's a lot. I don't know what else to say about that besides it's just a lot. Renown 17, so we're deep. We are deep, guys. But you will receive a puzzling cartel chip, which will be traded for a weapon, trinket, or a special item from the raid. So if you've been progressing and trying to focus on a boss for weeks on end, and you haven't got that weapon or the trinket, you can now go select it yourself and get your best in slot with no problems, no questions asked. We're goblins at that point. We don't ask questions. We just do things. Big, hot, and heavy Renown 18, your out-of-combat movement speed will increase to 30%, and the auctioneer now becomes accessible within the hotel. Now, like I said, if you have that mount that everybody should have, or not saying, I spent the money, yes, but just because it was a special one, but now I have that auction house, or you have the Brutosaur too. People have that too if you were a real gamer back in BFA. But if you don't, and everybody's empty on the auctioneer thing now at Renown 18, he'll be in the hotel. looking to give you your needs and your wants. Renown 19, you're going to receive your final puzzling cartel chip, and the damage and healing buff hits the max benefit of 18%. So max out 18% damage and healing increase, and you get your another puzzling cartel chip at 19. All right, guys, we are at Renown 20. This is just a purely cosmetic rank. Your players, you're going to get that high roller title, which I think is cool because we're in there gambling and, you know, rolling them bones on the table and stuff and putting it all on black. And a teleport to the raid's entrance. That's usable from anywhere. And you're going to, at the last access to the Furious Florendo mount, the robot Mechasar, we'll say that, found in the Cauldron of the Carja fight. So you're going to have access to that mount that everybody wants, that we've been seeing and loving, and you'll be able to run around the Galagio on our mounts. And I think with Renown 20 being just really nothing that's beneficial to the raid, because you've made it to 20, you're now deep in there, weeks on end, but you have it. You're a high roller now, and that's just how you end the Renown track. All in all, guys, I really like this. I think having access to a Renown track that you have to put little to no effort in, with you get bonuses, something to look forward to every week. Like I kept saying, if you're stuck in a spot, you'll get the damage and healing increase. If you need that piece of gear, you'll get the token. You'll get fun things to keep you wanting to go back for more. So I think this is a really neat step that Blizzard's doing in a full-on Renown track and becoming the goblin inside that we are, and we can all be that high roller. And if you like continuing to be a high roller, I want you to check out, my Mythic Plus video, because the changes are heavy and they're beautiful. But I'll catch you on my next video. See ya.